Okay, I'm going to jump right in. This is day 2. What is day 2? Well, after day 1, I mean, day 2 could be anything. But I noticed that shaving little bits of time off on anything is beneficial, right? But what you need to understand is that no one knows what you're doing unless you inform the whole team. So day 2, and this is great because it really flies in the same area as like buying time when you're busy, right? You know that you have to fill a void of time that needs to be accommodated by human work. The problem is though that do you have your system so optimized that if you duplicate that responsibility to another person plus one human with the same responsibilities, are they just carrying over bad habits and broken systems, right? Is the protocol the same? Does everybody understand how it works, etc.? That's a big deal because I think a lot of people don't know that confirming a workflow, like doing workflow process design, and right from the beginning, or auditing your workflow right now, which is what we're going to call this, day 2, right? Not sure what the title is going to be, but we're going to call this like workflow or like process, or in the case of like where you really want to get specific is operations, right? This right here is why you would want to shave time off of anything that would be automation or native integrations between applications communicating, etc. This needs to be documented. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't have workflow, process, or operations documented. Okay? And the reason why you would want to have this documented is it saves on teaching anybody. Your onboarding process seems to be pretty straightforward if all it is a YouTube video or like a PDF or whatever of your workflow, process, your operations, whatever, okay? Because then everybody's on the same page. And that's where that operational fluency comes in, which is going to be a chapter in my book. Operational fluency. Here's the thing. If you know what the actual process and workflow is for the whole team, and you're part of the team, you don't have to ask, right? You know what's supposed to happen next and what, let's say, even application you use to do what when. So operational fluency has 2 definitions, okay? One is that all of the processes fluently communicate. That means that all of the applications you choose in your app stack, your ecosystem, the workflow, fluent. It's fluent. So whatever task gets initiated, it's fluent between all of the ecosystem, okay? And that means there's no breakdowns. Usually what happens is instead of it being a line, there's a stop. And then to get to the other side, well, what's in here, right? And the problem is, you probably have to there's so much time loss here. There's so much time loss here. Bandwidth lag, whatever you want to call that, this is the problem. You should have this all the way to the end. So like start to finish. But if you have like these breaks all through this, right? You're having to make up for these time bandwidth lag problems, like multiplied by your whole team. That could be a lot of hours a day. So the operational fluency is making sure that you have something that's fluent. Now the second definition, which is cool, is fluency is a language, right? So if you have operational fluency, your whole team should know how it works, okay? And if they know how it works, they know all the workflow, they can kind of help prevent some of this traffic jam problem because they know the fluency as well. They have been onboarded with the proper workflow, so the process matches the operations, matches their ability to understand what each app is for, each SaaS product, each application, whatever that they have, right? And usually what this will solve 100% or will attribute to is it's check first, ask second. This saves a team infinite amounts of time, okay? Because if there's some sort of product or service out there that you're using that's on your phone, or it's, a browser tab in Google Chrome, you can look yourself as a team member or an executive, whatever. You can look yourself. That means you don't have to ask. Asking is here, okay? That's why this happens, because you have to ask. Because someone has the information, the team doesn't have the information, so it's not in a database that can be checked on by the team. You see how this works? So being operationally fluent means that all the apps are fluent together, all the workflow through the apps are fluent, none of the bandwidth breakdowns or breakers or lags happen, and then you know what to use when, because you understand the workflow, so your fluency in operations as a language, right, is optimized, and you don't have to ask, right? Because this say for example you do have to ask, no problem, but you checked first, okay? But if this is where a lot of people don't think that this is important. They don't think that's important because they've always relied on ask first, okay? But the check first means you're not spinning up someone else's bandwidth to find a piece of information that they have in their head as well, but the database already does, or the ecosystem already does, so the team can see it. Like, this is where it all breaks down, 100%. That's why people send emails, texts, calls hundreds of times a day for pieces of information that they could see themselves. Okay? That's operational fluency. That's day 2.